The Nintendo Switch 2 will quickly become the greatest selling console of all time. Within 3 months of the Nintendo Switch 2's launch, judging off of Nintendo's financial statement, we can already see that the Switch 2 has sold over 10 million units. And honestly, that is a crazy number to think about, because if you compare that to something like the Wii U, we already knew that the Wii U sold horribly, but to think about it, that the Switch 2 sold almost as much as the Wii U within 3 months to 5 years. The Wii U has sold 13.56 million units over 5 years, so essentially over its lifetime, which is a really crazy thing. And the Nintendo Switch is also in the spotlight right now because it could easily pass the Nintendo DS, Nintendo's highest selling console of all time, with 154 million units. Now, the Switch is 100,000 units away from becoming the greatest sold Nintendo console of all time, which is really crazy. And the Nintendo Switch is not too far away from becoming the greatest selling console of all time, because the PlayStation 2 has sold 60 million units, but I don't think that number is necessarily right, because over the past couple of years, Sony has just saying, oh wait, here's 2 million units sold. We haven't necessarily checked it. Oh wait, there's another 100,000 PlayStation 2 sold. And it just keeps going up. The PlayStation 2 was a console that released in like the 2000s, which is a crazy thing, and they haven't sold that console in a long time, so it really doesn't make sense to see, oh wait, these numbers, these sales numbers, they came out of nowhere. They came out of my back pocket. I just had to throw it in there because I forgot to say it. But overall, it's a very interesting thing. Now, for the copies of the most highest selling game, like in 3 months, Mario Kart World has sold probably going to be 10 million units by this point, because we're about a month behind from this financial statement, so we're probably up to 10 million Mario Kart World copies sold. And let's just say Mario Kart World is a pretty good game. Like, honestly, it is really fun. There still is things missing from the game, but it is a good game, and to see that this has sold 10 million units is pretty crazy. But you might just say that, you know what, some of them were bundled in with Nintendo Switch 2, which is fair. Mario Kart World was bundled in. You saved about $30 from that game, so probably half of those sales are from that bundle. So overall, we also have another thing that we could technically compare. So Mario Kart 8 is actually the Wii U's highest selling game. Mario Kart World is probably going to be at 10 million copies sold, so overall that is pretty cool. And then we also had the second most popular game, which was Super Mario 3D World, which has 5.89 million copies sold. So that right there is a very big number for that game, and Donkey Kong Bonanza is not too far off. Donkey Kong Bonanza is definitely an amazing game because it really gives you that freedom of being able to do essentially whatever you want, break whatever you want, do whatever you want. Overall, it's really cool to think about it. Games are getting bigger and better, and there's definitely more players than ever that are wanting to play on these Nintendo platforms. And who knows, maybe Nintendo is finally going to release new games, because this strategy has definitely worked out for them in the past. Now, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a 60 million units sold, so right there is really crazy. So maybe we could see even more remasters or remake, or is that just because that was Mario Kart? Everyone loves Mario Kart. Mario Kart is the greatest thing ever. Now, also, these numbers could go even higher because we're entering the month of November, the month of December, which arguably is probably the biggest time for many players to get themselves either a Nintendo Switch 2 or to get the games releasing for the Nintendo Switch 2. Like in November, we will be seeing Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Now, although this isn't a massive game for Nintendo, it still is a pretty big game for Legend of Zelda fans that want to know more on what is going to happen inside of the story of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, just to connect all of those gaps. But arguably the biggest game this month is Kirby's Air Riders. Now, this is honestly an amazing looking game, and Masahiro Sakurai has definitely put in a lot of work with this game. Now, the sales number, we're going to have to see probably earlier in January how great that hasn't necessarily sold, but overall it is very crazy to think about. But we're not done here. The Nintendo Switch 1 could definitely surpass the PS2 within this Christmas season. Maybe some players are going to buy 6 million units of Nintendo Switch. Then we could say this is the highest selling console of all time, which is really cool. But a crazy number when you look at it is the software side of things. This is almost at 1.5 billion units, and the Nintendo Switch is going to continue receiving more and more games. Like in December, we will be seeing Metroid Prime 4 for Nintendo Switch 1 and Nintendo Switch 2. We already had Super Mario Galaxy 1 plus 2, and we also had Pokemon Legends ZA, which are all arguably great games and probably going to sell numbers for Nintendo Switch. And in 2026, we're also going to be seeing a lot of different games for that, like Tomodachi Life. Tomodachi Life is Living the Dream is coming out in 2026, so that's also probably going to sell a bunch of different numbers. We're going to keep seeing more and more games for Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch isn't kaput yet, which honestly is really cool. If you look at it to comparison, the DS, we all know the DS has sold definitely really well, but the software part of it is a little bit like about 500 million behind the Nintendo Switch 1 or 2. So overall, it is a very, very cool looking thing. But in 2026, the Nintendo Switch 1 and 2 is going to be really, really crazy. It's going to be a big year because Nintendo's got to keep up with their sales numbers here. You know, they're going to release something big with these new anniversaries that are going to be put out, like the 40th anniversary of the Legend of Zelda series. Maybe we could be seeing the Legend of Zelda Wind Waker with on the Wii U here. It's stuck there. It's still stuck there. Imagine how great Nintendo can make these sales numbers, because right now Wind Waker is at 2.37 million units sold. So when you take a look at that, just maybe releasing it on Switch 1 or 2 would just boost those numbers even higher. For a game that truly is a masterpiece, boom, that would be a really, really awesome thing. But what do you think about the Nintendo Switch subscription service side of things? Now, if you look at subscription service, that has definitely sold a lot. Now, I don't believe that Nintendo actually reveals the amount for the subscription service, but we can just say that it is a pretty hefty number. So are they going to continue with that, or are they going to continue releasing remasters and remakes? Because remasters and remakes are one of their big key selling points for a lot of these games. A lot of games are remasters and remakes, and they work really, really well. Now, we don't quite have the data for Super Mario Galaxy 1 plus 2, but we're probably going to be seeing that sometime soon, and I'm going to estimate that that has sold at least 2 million units, maybe 3 million units, which is going to be a crazy number to say. But overall, all of these things aside, the Nintendo Switch 1 and 2 is selling well. May you think that this is a good thing or a bad thing because Nintendo has clearly succeeded with bumping up prices? Or do you think, you know what, this is a great thing because now we could be seeing a lot of different games? Or I don't know. It's completely your opinion how you say it. There's definitely some good within having a high console sold, because now you know it's not a failing console, but at the same time, with the high console sold, there's not really that much competition towards that, and they can do whatever they want. But hey, whatever. This is a very, very interesting thing. Nintendo Switch 2 has definitely sold so many units, which is crazy to think about. This console, 3 months in, 10 million units, about to pass the Wii U, about to pass the DS, not the DS, but like probably just maybe it's going to pass the DS. Overall, what do you think about all of this in the comment section down below? I hope that you had an amazing time. And also, if you're going to be picking up a Nintendo Switch 2, maybe November is the time to do it for Christmas or whatever it is. Or what game are you most excited for inside of November? Now, I just wanted to say, thank you so much for 2,000 subscribers. We did it. This is honestly really, really awesome, and I really, really appreciate it. Each and every one of you really helped this milestone, and I can't say it enough how much this actually really means to me. It feels just like a couple months ago. We were at 1,000. Now we're at 2,000. That is a crazy number, and I wanted to do something special. Now I haven't quite figured out that something special, but hey, consider to hit the subscribe button. Let's get to 3 million, maybe 4 million, maybe 10,000. Did I say million? Yeah, let's get to million. Oh, heck yeah. We're going to get to million at some point. But yeah, this is just something truly special. I really, really appreciate it. Each and every one of you are really, really amazing. And yeah, so yesterday or a couple days ago, I made a poll about the Nintendo consoles. Which one would you like to see return on Nintendo Switch 2? That includes all the games. Now, if you look at the polls right here, coming in last place, we got the Nintendo Wii U. Now, 40% of the Nintendo Wii U's library is actually on the Nintendo Switch 1 and 2, so I guess it makes sense. Coming in at number 3, we got the Nintendo DS. Now, the Nintendo DS got 18% of votes, which is pretty cool. Nintendo DS definitely has a lot of amazing games. But coming in at number 2, we got the Nintendo Wii. This as well has a lot of amazing games, but I feel like about 10% of Wii games are going to be on Nintendo Switch 1 and 2, but probably not 10%, maybe 3%. Overall, these games are amazing, and for the pretty much the highest amount of votes, 54% goes to the Nintendo 3DS. Yes, we definitely don't have a lot of Nintendo 3DS games anymore. So hopefully Nintendo can give us a second screen, because there is a patent filed for a second screen, which just maybe we could see something like that. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Continue to enjoy the polls. You know, it's something that I like to do. It's really interesting. Overall, thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. See you in the next one.